So the concept of an open house is pretty straightforward, but as with all things, there are pros and cons to each and every situation. So let's talk about it. Before I do, though, if you guys could head down below and hit that subscribe button, as well as the notification bell to stay updated with all of our content, and hit the like button while you're down there, because she helps out a ton. So, open houses, for those who are unaware, is exactly what it sounds like. You've got a property listed, you open it up to the public, essentially, for usually, with us anyway, it's a time frame of about 2 hours. On Saturday or Sunday or both. But as with all things, pros and cons. So in terms of the pros for an open house, you can attract buyers that you wouldn't normally have, i.e. people who just happen to be driving the neighborhood, or because we set up our signs kind of on like 3 intersections leading up to the property. You might get someone who's just driving down a major street, see an open house sign, you might be able to pull them in off of that. You're creating a low pressure environment, which might be more appealing to more people. Instead of having to call up a realtor, start in an engagement that they are not aware of. With a person they're not really aware of, and there's no real commitment, right? Different buyers agents or agents in general will try and get you on like an agreement right away, so then you're stuck with them for a period of time. Some agents don't do that at all. Dad and I usually put it off, but it is more low pressure and can be more inviting to some people. You have increased awareness of the property, which it's more press for it, right? You're going to be promoting the open house instead of just promoting the listing, so people are going to see it even more, which is always a good thing. And you're able to put your best foot forward because you've got a showing on short notice. You're not quite able to clean the best you could. Maybe it's a little more messy than you would have liked, but with an open house, you'll know plenty of time ahead, way more than any showing, and you'll have time to clean and make sure that your house is looking spick and span. So, as for cons, excuse me, the quality of person coming into the house is not guaranteed. A lot of the time, people don't know the price of the property coming into an open house because they just see the signs. And because our open house signs are evergreen, we can use them for multiple things. It wouldn't make a lot of sense to design new signs every time. It's not like we're posting the price or anything like that, specifically when advertising the open house. So you can end up with unqualified buyers, whether it's people who just can't afford. You're gonna have your neighbors come in, guaranteed. It feels like 50% of all people that come into open houses are just neighbors wanting to poke around at your house to see what things are like, and people are curious, right? So can't really blame them. There are some security issues when it comes to an open house, right? We try our best to keep things kind of as much like a showing as possible. There is a sign-in sheet that we keep, which is unlike showings. We get name, email address, and phone number, which is A, to track who's been in the house, and B, to get feedback on the open house afterwards. But if it's only one person that's come in, we being like my dad or I will follow them around. We'll guide them around the house, kind of more like we're showing the property. It gets a little more difficult when you have more people, in which case you kind of just have to post up in a centralized location, listen for things, and answer any questions as they show up. You also get less one-on-one time with potential buyers. Exactly as I just mentioned, if you've got more than one person coming in at the same time, things can get a little bit hectic and you aren't able to dedicate as much time to someone coming in as you might have hoped. There's also, in our experience, both Dad and mine, not a huge success rate on open houses necessarily. Now, this is obviously just a sample size of all the open houses that I've done in the last 3 years, as well as all the open houses that Dad's done in the last 35 plus years. I've never seen a house sold off of an open house, one of our listings anyway. I think Dad said he's seen one, maybe two. So getting the word out about the house is all well and good and great, but what happens more often is the agent is going to end up with more potential buyers because we've got their contact information, get talking to them, find out they're looking for something that might be similar, or maybe they're looking for something slightly different. You offer to help them out, new client, yada, yada, yada. That is to say that while you might not get results directly from the open house, I don't think that the added attention to it via advertisements and things like that is a bad thing at all, right? Someone might see the open house ad, think, oh, that house looks cool, call up their realtor, and then go and see it, right? So while not directly, still kind of influenced by the open house. It's also just an opportunity that some people might come through the open house to spare their realtor some time. I know we've had some clients that, they'll be looking at another location. Like, oh, there's an open house this weekend. They'll take one of our cards. They'll go in, just hand over the card. Essentially, instead of giving their contact information, to just be like, hey, we already have a realtor. We're kind of just here just to save them some time kind of deal. At which point, if they like the house via the open house, we'll go back for a more formal showing to give them a better kind of idea of what our professional opinion would be. So, should you do an open house? Entirely up to you, right? I don't think it can hurt, right? I think it can really only be helpful. If your realtor is doing a good job, then you'd want them to have more clients anyway. So great. And you never know if there's going to be a situation, like I mentioned, that someone sees a property because of an open house ad. You never know who's going to see it, right? Someone could come in to the open house, dang, I have a relative who would love this property, and then have them get in contact or something like that, right? So that's it for open houses. If you guys could head down below, hit that subscribe button as well as the notification bell to stay updated with all of our content. Hit that like button and let me know if I missed anything. Do you think open houses are just full of garbage, or do you think they're the most useful things in the world? I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent on them. They are what they are. Depending on the time, they could be absolutely dead or they can be absolutely busy as all heck. So yeah, that's it from me here today, guys. Hope you have yourselves a good one, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.